Drove to Abilene first part of September, caravan style. There were 3 cars, and got there early in the morning, Nils. It was about 2 o'clock. So I went into one of the men's dormitories and slept on the couch. And I got up with the sun the next morning, walked outside, looked around, and said, "God, what have I done?" It was not California.
From Dallas, Texas, this is Spool, hosted by Dr. Nils Roemer, Dean of the Bass School at UT Dallas.
Hi, Earl.
Hi,
so glad to see you here.
Good
Have
to
a
see
seat.
you. Thank you.
Glad to have you here today and to join us for Spool. I'm here with an exceptional individual, Earl Young, athlete, Olympist, gold medalist winner, runner, survivor of leukemia, activist. So I'm really pleased that we have a chance to kind of talk a little bit all the things that make up your life, as well as a book that you wrote, Gold and Grace. And I think Gold and Grace, even if you just think about the title, immediately suggests that there is something really more than, I mean, not that it would be not enough to have a gold medal, but that the gold medal is in lots of ways does stand right next to something other, which kind of gets us into a different direction, meaning grace. You were born in 1941 in California.
Yes, San Fernando, California.
And your father was also an athlete, I believe, right?
Yes.
And so you were in lots of ways already in high school, pursuing your dream of racing, running. But in lots of ways, I mean, we're trying to get you to Texas. I think it was it your grandmother? Right? It was your grandmother. Tell us that story, how you ended up. We would like to combine everything great with Texas.
Okay,
so
that story really begins in 1958, May of 1958. I'm sitting in a social studies class, and a messenger comes from the main office with a message that says I need to come down and call my dad. So I was excused from class, went and called Dad, and Dad said, "Son," he said, "Bobby Morrow and Oliver Jackson are here in my office and want to take us to lunch."
So
now,
just remind everyone who they were.
Okay, there I am, 17 years old. My hero in this world was Bobby Morrow. And Bobby Morrow went to Abilene Christian. He won 3 gold medals in the 100, the 200, and anchored the sprint relay in Melbourne in 1956. So that was just an unbelievable comment. But as you can imagine, I went out and hopped in my 55 Chevy and scooted up there, and sure enough, there was Bobby Morrow. Now, I didn't have any idea who this man standing next to him was, who was to become, as my dad called him, a second father, was Coach Oliver Jackson.
Who also had at that point already quite a distinguished record, right?
Yes. He was well-recognized coach, yes. And so, that day they took us to lunch, and Coach told me a bit about Abilene Christian. He magnified the story a bit. Abilene Christian was pretty Spartan back in the 60s compared to what it is today. It's a gorgeous campus today. It's a large, vital school. As a matter of fact, last night, Abilene Christian basketball team played Arizona, the #1 team in the country. They got beat, but still they played.
But in other words,
#1.
you're still following your alma mater closely.
You bet.
All right.
And as that turned out, he offered me a scholarship to come to Abilene, and I said yes. I was looking at going to Occidental in California. They had made an offer also. But I knew that going to Abilene Christian, it was a Church of Christ school, the church I was raised in, and I knew it would please a lot of people. Plus, as a 17-year-old, leaving San Fernando that far behind was kind of appealing.
Okay.
It was adventurous.
Well, a little adventurous, right?
Yeah. Drove to Abilene first part of September, caravan style. There were 3 cars. And got there early in the morning, Nils. It was about 2 o'clock. So I went into one of the men's dormitories and slept on the couch. And I got up with the sun the next morning, walked outside, looked around, and said, "God, what have I done?" It was not California. and one of the best decisions of my life, of course. But it was quite different than California.
So at the time, though, you were really quite young. You said it yourself. You were 17. And then you started practicing there for about a year or so. But then I think there's a significant change in the times that then occurred. So I imagine this at some point, your coach looking down the watch saying, how on earth did he drop 2 seconds, right? Can you tell us something about that?
Exactly. A lot of, the body was still developing and developed greatly between 17 and 19, and was able to handle the work that it takes to develop a body to be a 400-meter runner. And it all happened quite quickly, no question about that.
But also happened at a good time, right? I mean, your timing could not have been any better, right? Because by you all of a sudden improving so significantly your times, you ended up qualifying for the U.S. Olympic team.
But I was so immature. The first qualification, I went out in the prelims.
Okay.
There was only one other chance to make it, and that was to be in the top 6 of the national AU meet. I did that, and that took me to the trials, the Olympic trials at Stanford, where I got second.
Just so we understand, I think about running as, this is about how fast the legs go, but you're saying prematurity in lots of ways was an obstacle. So what else has to come together and actually being able to compete there outside of, the physicality of it?
Number one, you have to have a passion for what you're doing. That's anything in life, isn't it, Jay? And had a strong passion for running. Like I said, I'd grown up around my dad, who talked about his running in high school. He didn't have the good fortune to go to college, or he would have been world class, no question. A strong desire. You have to work hard. It's physical work. You have to watch yourself. You have to sleep. You have to do things in disciplines that the average person doesn't do.
It's discipline, in other words. You have to align everything.
You bet.
So I just said your timing was perfect because by you then eventually qualifying, you ended up going to Rome.
Right, that's correct.
So everything, we joked a little moment ago a little bit about this, but everything seemed to have lined up perfectly at this point, right?
That's true.
You make the right adjustments, you show the disciplines, your times are improving, you are seen as possibly, accomplishing a great deal in Rome. And then in your first the first bigger race, individual race, you unfortunately are matched up with probably one of the best Olympic competitions ever, right?
Yes.
Because you end up evening the world record from the previous Olympics, right?
Tied the world record, but I took 6th in the open 400.
So this is almost like an impossible. You would have thought, okay, by tying the world record, that's pretty good, right? That should do the trick. But in your case, you ended up running against 5 others who all did better than the world record, and all, I think, in that race did their very best, right? They all, for the first time, ran those numbers.
That's right.
Rome must have been an inspiration then, unfortunately, not just to you, but to everyone else. But there, things could have ended, but then you ended up running actually in a relay, in a 400-meter relay, is that right?
Yes, it's 4x400.
Right.
Each runner runs 1 lap, 400.
You were the second one, right?
And I ran second, which is back in that day, the second one was the one that the first man runs in lane, second man breaks for the inside. And we led the race all the way.
Tell us something about your time, though, in that run.
Well, that was a 45.7, which at that time was the old world record.
Right.
And by the way, we had Germans in that race too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They got second, as they should. No, it was a great race with outstanding teams, and it was a new world record at that time.
But you, in other words, improved upon your time within the Olympics themselves, right? So that's what I was trying to get at, which is really remarkable. But also, winning in a relay is a slightly different exercise because on the one side, yes, you're running your own, but it's also part of a team, right?
That's right.
And so you would return to this like later on once more, where you would compete not just in the 400-meter relay, but also in the 1600-meter relay?
Well, the 1600-meter relay is the 4x400.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, though, you had, you were the youngest
Yes.
American athlete ever to. We have it here, right? That's why I'm
There it
looking
is.
at this. There it is. You want to show us?
This is
yours to show.
This is gold from Rome, 1960. It's I'm very proud of it, but I've had a lot of fun with it. It's because of the necklace, which was the only year they put that on it. You're able to hang it around people's necks. People get to have pictures taken with it. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's traveled with me many times. It travels with me always now with the foundation, and it's fun.
Exceptional accomplishment, right? A gold
Yes.
medal. I mean, anybody else here has a gold medal? No, nobody. So it's quite exceptional, right? Could we agree on this? But I think you also, and we'll get to talk to this a little bit later, for you it's also more than that. It's something that is empowering and created for your opportunity later in life, right? As a way of starting a conversation and talking about things that ultimately defined, the last decade or so of your life.
Yes.
But before we get there, I want to hold it once.
Please,
right?
please.
I mean, I was so excited when I heard that you're coming, so I at least want to be able to hold it once as well. Feels good. I was doing some running this morning, but very different nature, so I think that exists on an altogether different scale. You carried the torch for the 1996 Olympics, is
That's
that right?
correct, huh? Yeah.
And you ran actually with the torch here in Dallas?
Right. Well, it kind of goes with being an Olympian. We have here in Dallas an Olympic organization, a club, and I was actually one of the founders of the Olympians for Olympians Relief Fund to help Olympians that fall on hard times or sickness, whatever. And also we founded here in Dallas what is now the United States Olympic and Paralympic Organization. So we started the alumni here in Dallas. And have a lot of friends still involved, and we got a great Olympics coming up again in Italy.
That's right.
Here in the winter game. I find it difficult to believe that the great Lindsey Vonn at 41 is competing again in the Winter Olympics, which is going to be a great Olympics.
But carrying the torch, I mean, this is a particular role with high visibility and a certain kind of importance that is bestowed upon you. Tell us a little bit how that felt like to carry the torch.
Well, you're chosen because of being an Olympian.
Well, they don't just pick any Olympian, right? So,
well, I had stayed involved with the Olympic movement during those years, and so I was selected as an honor for what I had been doing with the Olympic Committee.
one thinks about growing up in California, being 17 years old, moving to Texas, learning how to run, improving time, being a winner of a gold medalist. That should have, that fills a life, right? You also, in addition, after you retired from sports, you were a very successful businessman and kind of traveled widely. So you kind of packed actually enough into your life at that point, right?
It's been a very eclectic life, business-wise. It's had a lot of travel, a lot of variation, quite a bit of time in Africa and places like Madagascar and Mauritius and some
What were you
wonderful
doing in
locations.
Madagascar?
We were actually looking for diamonds. We had been to...
I thought that was an interesting story. Not everyone goes to Madagascar, okay.
No, and...
Did you bring some?
No, we'd actually come from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where I met with Laurent Desiree Kabila, who was a very questionable person. But we were competing against De Beers for some locations, and that was like an ant challenging a giant. That De Beers did win. But we ended up looking at Madagascar, and that worked out well because I was able to contact the president of Madagascar, Mark Valamanana at the time, in behalf of a company I was involved with, an organization called Morrow Christian Broadcasting, which is based in Nashville and has transmitters in Anchor Point, Alaska, and they wanted to advance into another location. They thought they wanted to go to Mauritius, but they checked Mauritius and found out that the transmitter would not work as well there. And I said, have you ever thought of Madagascar? And they said, no, let us look at that. And they came back with the announcement from the engineers that Madagascar looked like it could send a signal farther than any place on Earth. Wow, isn't that unusual? And in broadcasting messages of the Bible. And so the president, Mark Valamanana, happened to be coming to Washington, D.C. for a meeting. I contacted them, we met with them, proposed to them that we build that station in the far end of, in the north side of Madagascar. He approved it immediately, and that's why they're in Madagascar today.
In 2011, you were diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, which is a particularly aggressive form.
Yes.
I'm a historian, so I'm saying this with not a great deal of knowledge, but from my understanding, it is one of the very aggressive ones. And at that point, the only available options would have been chemotherapy, or what was your diagnosis?
Well, I just, again, we had just come back from a business trip to South Korea, and I was really feeling rotten. I told my partner, I just, boy, sniff and cough and feeling terrible. So I went to my doctor. He did a blood test, and before I left the office, he said, I thought you'd already left. He said, I just called across the street and made an appointment for you with Texas Oncology. I want you to take this file. An oncologist will meet you at the front door. I went over there. They did a bone marrow biopsy. Again, I'm sitting in front of a white coat that day, and he says, Mr. Young, I have some bad news. Let me tell you, Nils, I still, in my life, I do not remember somebody saying I have some bad news. It must have happened sometime in all these years, but I remember that day.
One.
He said, I have some bad news. You have acute myeloid leukemia with a mutation that we call FLT3, and Mr. Young, that's as bad as you can get. And I said, how long do I have? He said, maybe 3 months. Wow. He said, now that's if we do nothing. But he said there is a possibility of finding a matching donor and having a stem cell transplant.
But the chances at the time of finding a matching donor were not particularly high, 4 out of 10 or something like that?
Maybe less
Or
than
even
that.
less.
But
luckily, things turn out differently for you, and I'm looking at my notes because even I struggled getting this word right. There was then the Deutsche Knochenmarkspendendatei, or the German bone marrow donor file. In other words, all of a sudden, magically, a match occurred from a woman who had just registered and had just been swapped, I think, just a few weeks prior to this, right?
that's correct, just 2 weeks prior to my diagnosis.
And the funny German word already suggests that this woman was living actually very far away in, I believe, Offenbach, was 44 at the time, and provided the magic match for you, right? And so that in lots of ways allowed then the transplant.
Well, out of the 22 million that were on file at that time, she was the only match.
She was the only one.
On January 20th, she went into a hospital in Offenburg, Germany. They took her stem cells, got on a plane with those stem cells, brought them here to Dallas, Texas, to Medical City Hospital where I was, and stuck a needle in my arm, and Christine's stem cells flowed into me, giving me what has turned out to be 14 more years.
Incredible story, though, considering how this matchup happened. But you had opportunity also to meet your donor, Christine
Yes.
many years later. And we just talked about you guys, your planning was a little off, but you had even tried to parachute together in 2020.
We had planned in 2020 at Abilene Christian to draw attention to a drive, a stem cell drive we were holding out there. We were going to parachute. which is something I had thought about for some time. And as it turned out, with the problems
Pandemic and
going on,
yeah.
the pandemic and so on, we had to cancel that. And believe it or not, Nils, I think Christine was the most disappointed.
But you seem to have been ready. You
we
wanted
were
to
ready.
do this
Yeah,
as well.
oh yeah, no question.
And then when we were earlier, we were joking about this. Your daughter looked terrified at us,
Yeah.
and so she still is a little uneasy about this part of the
Yeah.
conversation.
We-
It's just memories, I'm not trying to induce it.
We'd still like to get that done.
Oh,
So it,
that was him.
we'll
I did
see.
not say that, right? I was innocent in all of this. All of this, experience really then compelled you to become an activist and really to create a partner organization to this German one and to really educate the public and try
Yes.
to, ideally, entice more individuals to register, to be donors. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
10 years ago, I founded Earl Young's team. And what
Good
we
name.
Yeah, I knew how to name it, didn't I? But we thought we could capitalize on
No, of
the
course.
gold medal experience
No, of
and
course.
so on. And so we began contacting universities, churches, organizations, companies, but most of our drives have been held at universities. And we go in and hold a stem cell drive where the students swab with 3 swabs, like anyone does when they register. We fill out a short registration form, and we send that to DKMS in Germany. They put it on file. And we have registered over 40,000
Wow.
people, and we've had 175 matches
Wow.
where people's lives have been given a second chance. And that is growing. It is now, like anything in life, you grow to a point to where you can finally blossom.
Right.
And
Well, you kind of blossomed in more than one way. It's not finally. One would think winning a gold medal
Well-
is kind of a blossoming in and of itself, no?
but this is
this is different.
bigger than that.
So
This is bigger
let's
than
maybe, not, have a little bit of time left. Let's maybe get into this because I think this is kind of tied to the title of the book, Gold and Grace, right? That the way you just talked about it, that it's, yes, the gold medal, but this is bigger. Would you mind, we don't want to give everyone the cliff notes. We want people to read this book, but explain to us the title, maybe, if you don't mind.
The grace word is a word that also means mercy, which comes from our Father in heaven. And it has become abundantly clear to me people who are of the Christian faith or the Jewish faith, anyone that believes the word of the Bible knows that they were created for a purpose. It didn't just happen with nothing going. There is a purpose, and it is abundantly clear to me that my purpose I'm accomplishing right now, I wouldn't trade for the work we do right now. I wouldn't go back and cure the cancer or take it out of my life because of the good we're doing. The good we do saves lives. It allows individuals to focus on doing the right thing. What's the right thing? The right thing is to register in case you do match a person to save their life with the gift that God gave you, your life. You didn't invent it. It came from a higher power. So you get to take that awesome gift and
give
maybe
it
save a life. That's how do you get any higher than that? That's saving a person's life is like I said, I can't think of a greater thing to do.
Neither can we. Thank you so much, Earl, for being here
Thank
with
you.
us. If you obviously now want to read this book, it is like where all other books are, easily attainable through Amazon and any other online vendors. Gold and Grace. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
My name is Nils Roemer. I'm the Dean of the Bass School, and I'm thrilled to have been the host to a wonderful guest today. Thank you again for tuning in.